Hey, good morning. On the train right now. We're gonna be pulling into the Krakow station in just a few minutes, or we're just going really slow, I think. So while that wasn't the worst sleep of my life, it's definitely up there. My back really hurts. Even putting like all the extra pillows down still hurt, and even with the sleeping pill I wasn't able to stay asleep. I kept waking up from like, I think, my back hurting, and also the train moving so much. Like I feel like when I've been on other trains they don't move as much, but I don't know, maybe it's different when you're like lying down, you feel it more. I don't know, but it was really hard to sleep. I kept waking up and waking up. Like I'd maybe sleep like 30 minutes at a time and then wake up. So that sucked. So I'm definitely gonna need a nap today, but I think I can go a few hours doing some stuff, so we'll see. Here I'm in Krakow. It's about 7:30 in the morning. Definitely the earliest I've trip. So I'm gonna go find my hostel, leave my bag. I don't know what time check-in's at, and then come back at check-in and nap. Interesting. So the train station here is actually also a mall. I have noticed that a lot of train stations kind of look like airports here with all the shopping and everything, because more people kind of take trains than planes, especially going locally. So the main train station in the city is always huge. Lots of stores and food and everything. And it's drizzling too. Woo! So I'm a little confused with these directions, but I think it's this way because they said an underpass. And that's the only underpass I see is over there. So gonna hit this one and hope it's the right way. Today is going fabulously, guys. Okay, so very, very shortly, actually, probably like a few seconds after that last video ended, I went to grab my phone out of my pocket to make sure I was going in the right way to look at the directions again, and I realized my phone was not in my pocket. I had just had it. I retraced my steps back to the last place I had it, which was like, I was outside the train station, realized it was raining, I got my umbrella. I remember having it there when I was underneath, and then I walked across the street and went left and walked walked across, like, it was like literally like a 3-minute walk. I walked for like 2-3 minutes, and that's when I realized my phone was missing. I retraced my steps, I didn't see it. Obviously I started panicking. I don't know if it dropped out of my pocket or maybe someone took it out of my pocket. It probably dropped, and I was crying, obviously. I went back into the train station and asked for help from a security guy who didn't speak any English. So I went to like McDonald's and asked them like if someone, you know, found a phone, where would it get turned into, because I'm pretty sure I dropped it. It would have been like basically right outside the train station. So the logical place someone would turn it in would be the train station. So she took me to the information. I gave them my email, gave me their card, and hopefully I will hear back. I'm also going to try going on my iPad, because the thing is my phone's on airplane mode. So like when I like found this girl spoke English, she's like, can I call it? And I was like, no, because it's on airplane mode. So hopefully someone, if someone did find it and they didn't turn it in, they will be smart enough to turn off the airplane mode. I don't care if it racks up a crap ton of roaming. It will be worth it. I'm gonna try sending in a message, and you know, if by the time I leave Krakow I haven't got it, I'll probably see about getting a new phone in Budapest. I'm really trying to not let this affect me so much. When I was walking here, which was about a 20-minute walk, because I went the wrong way at first, and then I had to pull out my iPad then to see where I was going, because I didn't have the directions anymore on my phone. I was just like, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. I didn't lose my camera, which has all my pictures on it, even though I've downloaded some of them onto my hard drive. It's still a lot I haven't. And I'm like, you know, I have my wallet, I have my passport, I have my train ticket. So in the grand scheme of things, I have my iPad, so I can still get on Wi-Fi and stuff. It's just, and my phone had already been acting up. So I just keep saying, it's not the end of the world. I didn't lose my camera. I didn't lose my camera. If I lost my camera, that would have been the worst thing. But I didn't lose my camera. And then I just noticed when I was checking in my hostel, my nose ring is no longer there. And I just looked at the footage and I had it. in my last video, so it's probably when I was crying and I was like doing like this like sniffling that it came out. But the thing is, that was like one that like stays in, because it's not like a twisty, it's like you can like pull on it and it will stay in really well. So I must have done something really hard for it to come out. So there's that too. So they have free breakfast. I'm gonna go see about getting free breakfast after I sign onto my iPad and let my mom know what's going on, and then go on a walking tour, because I really wanted to come to this city and I need to not let this ruin a day like it did for me in Prague. And that wasn't even losing my phone, that was like, but so I had my cry, I had my freak out, and I need to just move on. Again, it's not the end of the world. You know, the main thing is I just can't post on Instagram, which does sucks. But if I can't post on Instagram, like, oh well. Please, let's hope that nothing else goes wrong. Please, nothing else go wrong.
They had the hope to survive the war. Everything was changed in 1941 when the Nazis established the ghetto in another side of the river, and they started the big elimination action, and they started killed all of them. So as you can see, only 3,000 of them survived the war. So that was really hard time. After the war, Poland became the communist country, and the communists didn't like so much Jewish people because they lived in really strong united communities. And the communists prefer rather the situation where the people don't trust each other, they should trust only the Communist Party. So that's why in 1947 Israel country was established. A lot of Jewish people moved to the Israel. Today in Krakow live only about 2,000 Jews.
So even though this is the Jewish quarter and not the ghetto, this is actually where Steven Spielberg shot Schindler's List, because it looked more like World War II, since the ghetto area was updated and Kazimierz was not until about 20 years ago. The more area where Schindler's List was filmed. Lots of the movie was filmed in the Jewish quarter. To 7 for the ghetto. This is where they had the beginning of the liquidation. Ah, yes. Now it looks familiar. Now I recognize it. So the reason I had decided to come to Krakow, because I'd never heard of this city before a few years ago, was reading the book The Commandant's Girl by Pan Genov. And after reading that book multiple times, because I love that book, and walking the city, I kind of have a layout, like walking from the Jewish quarter across the river to the ghetto. I remember Emma doing that in the book, and at the last part, where she's walking across the river back to the main part of the city, that the ghetto was across the river. So it's kind of cool after reading that book to then walk all this area and then remember her walking this. You can tell the author came here and researched it a lot. So I'm a little bit familiar with the city because of that, and that's cool, kind of retracing some of her steps and remembering what part of the books took place in the parts of the cities I'm in.
The borders work, and that was really difficult to escape from the ghetto. So now we are entering to the place where the ghetto was. When the Nazis started to liquidate the ghetto and they moved everyone to the concentrate camp, Oskar Schindler established a sub-camp next to his factory, so he cared about his workers. He realized in 1944 that Nazis started losing the war. So he put all the names of his workers into the list, and he moved the factory into the Czech Republic where he was born. Everyone who was on this list had the protection, and they went into the Czech Republic, and in this way they survived.
Well, just finished up the tour. It was good, but the guide, it was a little hard to understand her because she's kind of soft-spoken and a very heavy accent, so it was a little hard to understand, and information seemed a little light, but it was still like a good introduction. And actually the tour ended right by Schindler's factory, which is where I'm gonna go now. I've only seen the movie once. I saw it about a year ago, and either I forgot or I just didn't realize that it actually also took place in Krakow. But knowing it's here now, it's definitely a place I want to go to, especially hearing that only 3,000 out of 68,000 Jewish people in Krakow survived the war, and of those 3,000, 1,000 of them were saved by Oskar Schindler. A third of the people, a third of the Jewish people who survived the war were saved by Oskar Schindler. So I want to go look at the factory and the whole museum there. Honestly, I have no clue what time it is because I don't have a phone, and I need to see about buying a watch. I meant to buy a watch before my trip, but since I had my phone, I was like, whatever. But now I really need to buy a watch and also find an ATM to switch over my money. All right, I think I found, yes, Fabrika Schindler, the Schindler factory. And it seems like I came on the perfect day because Mondays is apparently free admission. We actually have these little timestamp for Schindler's factory. I punched it in. As if you're going to work at Schindler's factory. This is what the walls that kept the ghetto in to look like Jewish headstones to show the Jewish people only death awaited them. This is the list, the Schindler's list, the names of all the people that were saved. And these are photographs of some of the people that were saved by Oskar Schindler in the Schindler List. I was able to do the whole Schindler's Museum in about 3 hours, which is great for me. Was probably also due to the fact that I ghosted a tour. So if you don't know what that means kind of like just following a private tour around the museum, listening to what they're saying. Cause like very soon after I started, there was this tour, and like for me, if the guide is talking loud, it's hard for me to concentrate on reading. So I just decided, I'm like, fine, I'll just listen to them. And I didn't know if it was a private tour, if it was like a tour put on by the museum, because some do like scheduled tours at certain times. And then a little way through, because this other woman was doing it too, she like was asking like a really annoying question, then he was like, if you are not part of the tour, please, you know, it's a private tour. So then I had to be a little bit more sneaky with it, and like would like pretend to be like reading plaques so they're like listening at the same time, which wasn't the easiest thing, because it's easier when you're just concentrating on someone talking than like looking at something, even if I wasn't reading it, and trying to like listen to with like my back turned or like to the side, or just, yeah. But he gave very good information. I wish I had been able to be part of his real tour. I don't know how much it was, probably not that much, but obviously I couldn't join at that point. And then I went back through, since I decided to just like kind of follow the tour and go much faster than I would, looked and read the stuff I didn't get a chance to in more detail. So now I'm very hungry. While I did have a really good breakfast, I didn't really eat at all the day before because of being hungover. So I'm gonna go get some food and then head back to my hostel. And I will say this, like, this is gonna sound kind of weird, but I hope you guys get what I'm saying. Coming to this museum, more so than the walking tour, it made me feel a lot better about my whole situation with my phone and made me forget about it. And I'm in a much better mood now, which is weird because of how sombering the museum is. But I think because I like learning about World War II and everything that happened, I like becoming more informed. And after this, I am much more informed about what happened in Krakow under the Nazi occupation. And you know, I was just so absorbed in learning all the information that I just completely, for the most part, forgot about my phone, other than when I need to check the time. So I was asking people what time it was, or like my camera luckily has the correct Los Angeles time, so I just have to be like, okay, 9 hours later. So heading back to Old Town to get some food, but I want to tell you guys a little bit more kind of about the city that I learned that I think is really interesting. It's one of the reasons why I want to come to Krakow. After I found out about it from reading the book and then researching it, was I heard how beautiful the city was and how it was kind of looked a little like Prague, but less crowded. Poland was at the forefront of the war though, and they said 90% of Poland was destroyed and bombed in the war, and like 95% of Warsaw completely destroyed. But Krakow is almost nearly preserved completely. It's the only place in Poland that is. Now why that is, while Warsaw was the capital, that Krakow was like the cultural city capital of Poland. This is where the artists were and all the cultural aspects of Poland happened. So when they knew that the Germans were coming, they raised a white flag over the city to say, up on the hill to say, we will let you come in, you know, you don't need to bomb. Walk on in, basically. And that's why all the other cities were destroyed. Krakow was bombed a little bit in the morning. The war started on September 1st, but when they marched in the city September 5th, they didn't destroy anything. And then, while cities that weren't really destroyed during the Nazi occupation, a lot of cities got destroyed when the Soviets came through and fought the Nazis. But in Krakow, the Nazis knew that the Germans were moving west and taking a lot of the cities, and they knew that Krakow was gonna get taken over, and it wasn't really worth the fight for the city, so they basically just left the city. So when the Soviets came, they didn't have to fight anyone. They didn't have to blow up buildings and damage all the beautiful architecture here. So that's why Krakow is really the only preserved city left in Poland. And it sure is a very beautiful city. It's a very sad history, but I think it's very important to know about the history of it all. I made sure when I was looking for a restaurant to get food at, I did not do it on the old the center square, because restaurants around there are very touristy and they charge more and they're usually not as good food. So I walked like a block or two, but I was just like getting so hungry. I was like, okay, I just need to find something. Then there was this other kind of square with a fountain that looked like it had some touristy restaurants, but wasn't quite as touristy. I'm like, fine, you know what, I'm just gonna go there. And I go downstairs and look at this place. Like, what? It's like very traditionally, like I want to say like farmy. I guess it would be traditionally Polish, but it reminds me of, I can't think of what culture, but oh, I thought that was wine for a second. I was like, why did they just stick wine on my table? But it's this black currant nectar that I got, and apparently it's very traditionally Polish. I just didn't want anything alcoholic right now, so I'm gonna try this. Quite good. It's like very rustic. Ah, that's the word. It's like super rustic looking. It's very neat. My appetizer just came out that looks delicious, and that is some potato pancakes I ordered. Looks very good. Very good potato pancakes. Probably the best ones I've had. So yay for that. And my dinner just arrived. So I'm actually very full from the potato pancakes and the bread I had. But it is pierogies, Russian style, with cheese and onions. It smells amazing. I'm probably not gonna be able to finish this. It's so cute. It's so detailed, like ridiculously detailed. Like they even have a little mill with a pond and fish. How cute is that? So now I'm going to see if I can find a tattoo shop to see about getting another nose ring, because I hate not having it in. Success! I got another little nose stud, though it's not the kind I was looking for, but I doubted they were gonna have it. But then again, it was also like not even $2. It was 5 zlotsky. Heading back to my hostel now and gonna go relax for a bit, and I think going out for a pub crawl, so I might go do part of that just because my friend is running it. I'll check back in with you guys later. Bye!